And to me, the one thing that is going to define Boris's term, his 4 or 5 year term, whatever it is going to be the question of immigration.
Yeah.
And that is what a lot of people voted for with Brexit.
Yeah.
Priti Patel has come out and said they're going to be incredibly tough on immigration.
Yeah.
Do you think he's actually going to commit to it, or do you think he's going to fudge the issue?
I think it's going to be a fudge, because the problem is that an awful lot of businesses have already kind of turned their backs on it and said, well, hang on, it's all very well for you to say, as Priti Patel did, well, just hire some local people and pay them more money. And people are going, well, I can't do that because I won't make any money then. And what I do make, you'll be taxing me. And one of the greatest errors, I think, that they ever made, the Tories, was giving the Chancellor's job to George Osborne, who I think is probably the worst Chancellor of all time, who's put taxes up massively. I mean, I run a small business. My taxes have more or less doubled in the time that, I've been running the business in the last, say, 10 years, because they've changed the way that they tax small business. They've gone after individuals who are the wealth creators of this country. And they're the Tories. This is why I'm terrified of the Labour Party getting in, because, this lot have done bad enough as we are. But I think that, for example, the fruit pickers that would come in from Eastern Europe on an annual basis, sometimes maybe would stay for the rest of the year. You're not going to find people indigenously here in this country who are living here who are going to want to do that kind of work. So they're going to give some dispensation to the fruit growers so that they can import these people. So you can forget that one, right? First of all, they're also now going to forget the 30,000 threshold for people coming in. So that if you work in the NHS, you can come in. So you can forget that one. And so, I think it's a good idea to have a points-based system, but whether it actually practically means anything, I don't know. And every single government that said they're going to crack down on immigration somehow fails to do so. And it ends up with more people coming in. And
that's what I think will happen with this, because the way they've set up the point system, I mean, I think it allows a lot of people to come into this country.
Yeah.
Which I personally don't have a huge problem with, but there are people who do. So and people voted to have it reduced.
I think the interesting thing is that it's categorised and framed by the Labour Party as a racist issue, right? Which it really isn't, because most of the people who voted to control the borders voted about people coming from the EU, particularly from Eastern Europe. Yeah. That was their main concern. They're not that bothered about the family of Asians who've been there for 3 generations living down the road. I mean, there are racist people in this country who might be against people with different coloured skin, but by and large, it was the Eastern European sort of influx of people that came, because of course the European Union is now a very different animal to what it was. I remember I used to, before I got a dog, I used to go to Calais quite a lot from Sussex. We'd go and take a day trip over to Carrefour and buy some wine and pate and pretend we were Europeans. So isn't it great,
Typical Brexiteer.
Yeah, absolutely. And, coming back on the ferry one time, there was a group of Romanians and they were standing on the deck. And when the White Cliffs of Dover came in, they literally were jumping up and down, cheering. Because, this was their kind of, nirvana. They'd suddenly found the place they wanted to get to. And they all got into a van with Romanian plates and drove into Britain. They're probably still here, because there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing illegal about it. But I think the problem is that if you look at countries where people live, where the standard of living is so poor that they want to come here even to do a terribly, labour-intensive job for not very much money, but it's still better than where they live, of course they're going to come. And they're going to want to stay. And the reason that people want to come to this country is because it's a great country. And the people who are already here from the EU are all asking for settled status. 2 million of them. I mean, we were told by the Remainers that they were all going to leave. No, they all want to stay because they love it, And I'm quite happy with that. But living in London, it's a very skewed prospect. I mean, I hear from people in places like Peterborough, and I've never been to Peterborough, so I don't know whether it's true. But, apparently Peterborough's got a very big Czech contingent of people that went and lived there. That wouldn't bother me, but I mean, I could see how other people might think, it's not my town anymore. And I think that's what the government has to be careful about. They have to be aware that some people think like that.